What happens when you trade your career for your childhood dream job? 3 writers find out. I try to extract the mud from my boots and wonder if I'll ever get the fishy tang off my vintage Saint Laurent waistcoat. Ever wondered what your life would be like today if you had become what you wanted to be when you grew up? 3 writers spent a day living their childhood career dreams. Zookeeper. Trading magazines for mammals, Harriet Sim channels her inner Irwin child in a quest for purpose. Harriet with a Galapagos tortoise at Sydney's Taronga Zoo. Photography, Will Horner. It's 10 a.m. on a Monday and I'm already ankle deep in shit. No, this isn't office speak for unmet deadlines or a crisis-worthy error, but real animal feces. Today, I've decided to swap out my comfy corner desk and the luxury of working at a glossy fashion magazine in order to chase a childhood dream of being a zookeeper at Sydney's Taronga Zoo. As a preteen, I often fantasized about dedicating my career to caring for a Noah's Ark of doting creatures. I envisioned sauntering past the leafy enclosures and beaming happily at zoogoers as a fuzzy koala nestles into my cargo-clad shoulder, like the Irwin kids at Australia Zoo. As I entered my teens, I discovered the pages of my favorite magazines were filled with just as much escapism and wonder as I'd been craving. Plus, I was never overly fond of reptiles. The faux snake skin boots on the runway were far more appealing. So I pursued journalism instead. People often describe their jobs as having no 2 days the same, and while at times this is true in magazine land, with its last-minute interviews and photo shoots, for the most part one can tell you exactly where I'll be each day, at my desk, sipping a lukewarm tea from the communal kitchen. But on this day, after spending the morning shoveling warm excrement in the bongo enclosure and pinching my nose through the pungent refrigerator where the penguin food is stored, that the average cup of Twinings has never been more appealing. It's at this point, as I try to extract the mud from my boots and wonder if I'll ever get the fishy tang off my vintage Saint Laurent waistcoat, that I'm just about ready to call it quits on my childhood ambitions. Then, something magical happens. The zookeepers are ushered into the next enclosure, where thick iron gates glide back to reveal one of the largest living land mammals, a stoic Asian elephant. Standing at almost 3 meters tall, the towering creature bows its head and catches my eye. I turn to my fellow junior zookeeper and spot a single tear fall down her face. There's been moments in my career when I've been lost for words, regular writer's block doesn't count, watching ethereal garments flitter down the runway at Fashion Week, interviewing French film stars in an opulent hotel in Paris, but no other experience has come so close to being spiritual. I cast my eyes over the elephant's tough skin, with folds that make it look centuries old. As we give these formidable giants their bath, I'm told the matriarchs of the all-female herds share stories and knowledge with the younger generations. Perhaps it's the fresh air talking, or a lack of human interaction, but spending the day among oversized mammals, big cats and aquatic critters has given me a new sense of purpose. While I might not be ready to trade fashion for fauna, I leave Taronga Zoo with a clearer understanding of my role on this planet. Though there are times when my job can feel materialistic compared with others, I am fortunate enough to play a part in sharing and immortalizing stories that need to be heard. And similar to the matriarchal elephants, I carry that responsibility with me every day. Florist. Samantha Stewart loves roses just as much as the next girl. Early mornings, not so much. Fashion features and lifestyle editor Samantha learning the art of rose flipping at Haven and Sarah Florist in Avalon, Sydney. Photography, Will Horner. Is everything okay? My best friend answers my call at 5 a.m. with sheer terror in her voice. Her cause for concern is that, while she's an early riser, I am not a morning person. I struggle to understand those who thrive before 9 a.m. Yet here I am, calling her before the sun is up, wearing pajamas and Birkenstocks under a floor-length coat, about to drive across Sydney for reasons I am coming to regret. I explained to her that I am fine, technically, if you don't count my growing remorse and the fact there are no coffee shops open. I'm doing a challenge for work, I say, that requires me to spend the day living out my childhood dream of being a florist. The reason I'm up so early is to go to the Sydney flower market with the rest of the industry. Her response is roaring laughter and a sarcastic, "Good luck." When I was a little girl, I had many career aspirations, often inspired by the latest Barbie I'd received. When I was 6, Flower Shop Barbie entered my world. She came wearing a pastel pink top, floral skirt and green apron, and was holding a watering can and a basket of flowers. She seemed happy, fresh of face, working with flowers and running a successful business. I loved that for her. Except, when I played with her, a 4 a.m. wake-up call wasn't part of the storyline. Fashion features and lifestyle editor Samantha learning the art of rose flipping at Haven and Sarah florist in Avalon, Sydney. Photography, Will Horner. Aside from the rude time of day, when I arrive at the market, I still naively believe this assignment will be a literal bed of roses. But as soon as I walk in, like a pin, or perhaps a rose thorn, to a balloon, my imagined experience of the market, where I'd be surrounded by baskets of flowers and chirping birds, quickly bursts. Instead, there are tightly packed crowds yelling, haggling, and shuffling along damp floors through aisles of flowers in buckets. It's muddy, it's chaotic, and Birkenstocks were a bad choice. I get what I need and make a break for it. Finally, I arrive at my office for the day, Haven and Sarah florist in Avalon on Sydney's northern beaches. The sun is shining, the cafes are open, and things are looking up for my day as Flower Shop Barbie. Walking in, I'm greeted by a divine scent from the mountain of roses, hydrangeas, lilies, and peonies in the center of the charming store. I want to bottle it and wear it every day. It's exactly what I'd been imagining. Ready to be put to work, I tie on my apron as head florist and owner Sarah Cowley teaches me the art of petal flipping. I learn 2 important things here. First, roses don't grow with each petal fanned out. Second, flipping them must be done as quickly as possible. With my long nails, it takes me longer than the required 20 seconds per rose. Once I've somewhat mastered that, she schools me in constructing the perfect rose bouquet. I enjoy this thoroughly. It's relaxing and it's a skill I'll be taking home with me. Except, when you're a professional, you can't really spend 30 minutes on one bouquet. I look around and notice the team have completed several in the time it takes me to create one. So, while I'm hardly coming up roses when it comes to a career switch to floristry, I can at least, slowly, craft a professional-looking bouquet for my home. And that feels like a skill worth having. Actor. Starlet Francesca Hartley prepares for the role of a lifetime on the set of hit TV series Heartbreak High. As an ostentatious child with a penchant for melodrama, I always felt I was destined for a life in the spotlight. In my childhood bedroom, beloved musicals Grease and Hairspray were on heavy rotation, and while other kids were dragging muddy soccer boots through the house, my well-worn block jazz shoes were supporting my soles through pirouettes and plies. However, once I realized that the biggest crowds I was drawing were residents of my local nursing home and not the prestigious concert hall patrons I had envisioned, I turned my attention to acting. With a dream of making it big still burning inside, I signed myself up to a casting agency and enrolled in a series of acting classes. Inevitably, after failing to land a single audition, I decided to park my silver screen ambitions alongside my leather dance slippers. When I left school, I channeled my creativity into the beauty industry, where my itch for glamour, celebrities, and luxury was finally scratched with a Chanel emery board. That was until the opportunity to step onto the set of Heartbreak High presented itself. Initially, I was reluctant, having spent more than a decade squashing my acting ambitions. But I realized I owed it to my 9-year-old self. And hey, what if I get scouted? My first day on set starts at 7:30 p.m., where I'm greeted by a fluorescent orange traffic cone being forcefully hurled towards me across a dimly lit car park. Fortunately, I'm able to dodge it. On the other end of the traffic cone is actor Thomas Weatherall, who plays the lovable Malachi. "Cut," the director yells, and I realize this isn't a targeted attack but part of a scene. After it wraps, the silence is broken with a flurry of chatter, and I'm ushered towards a marquee. Inside, a group of producers, writers, and directors' assistants huddle together to play back the scene and listen carefully through oversized headphones. We watch Thomas throw that same traffic cone so many times that I feel as though I'm watching a GIF. In between takes, I overhear conversations between the crew and find that the banter is not too dissimilar to that of the Marie Claire office. "Macca's on the way home?" asks one crew member. How I switched careers at 40, spurred by an endometriosis diagnosis. I had to put a stop to that narrative for the sake of my mental health. If Cameron Diaz can switch careers at 48, anyone can. In her late 40s, she went from actor and author to the co-founder of wine business Avaline. She also threw a baby into the mix at 47. By her own admission, Diaz knew nothing about the alcohol industry, but it didn't stop her. "We knew nothing about how making wine worked, how it was structured, or what it would even take to enter it," she says. Diaz is not alone. The average person will go through 3 to 7 careers in their lifetime. For Sydney-based 44-year-old Kate Pascoe, the decision to make a career change came after 15 years spent working in a fast-paced PR gig. She left the industry to focus on raising her 2 kids and launch a homeware business, Kate and Kate, which she ran for over 4.5 years with her sister-in-law. It was during this time that Kate was diagnosed with endometriosis, a chronic disease that affects 1 in 10 women globally. Like many women, Kate was shrugged off by her doctor and told to get on with her life. She tried, until her body told her to stop. I kept going for the best part of 10 years until my body literally just gave up. Then I started to take notice. I had to. I never realized that there was such a thing as flexibility in the workplace, in life. Up until I couldn't physically do it anymore, I thought full-time push was the only way. I spent more than a decade fighting what was going on with my body. It was always a fight between work, life, and health. I realized I needed to make some tough decisions. I needed to take time off, be honest about what I could and couldn't do, and take it from there. She closed the homewares business and returned to the world of PR as a freelancer. Despite finding comfort in the familiarity of what she knew and enjoying the slower pace, an underlying itch to find her purpose wouldn't subside. After we came out of the first COVID lockdown, my Pilates studio announced that they were going to start training instructors. I thought, maybe I could give it a go just to build up my own skills. Initially, I was embarrassed to ask about joining because I thought I was too old. Then we went into second lockdown, and I started training my friends in my garage and down at the beach to build up my training hours. Over 2 years later, I've never looked back. I'm really proud to be older doing this work and working with women of all different ages. For Kate, finding purpose in her job by prioritizing herself and her health has not only mended her approach to her work but also her relationship with her body. I spent most of my adult life feeling as though my body was letting me down. I was so sad, and it showed. I hated it and it hated me. Over the last few years, I've learnt to listen to my body, to work with it, not against it. To know when to push and when to back off. I expect a lot from it, but I give it a lot in return. It has actually turned into a beautiful relationship, and I cherish what my body can do, what it has overcome and how it carries me throughout each and every day. I was always so down on my body throughout my 20s and 30s. I had moments of feeling good, but most of the time, I just didn't like it. I was so picky. My pain, my cellulite, my veins, my scars, my stomach, my hips, endless self-talk on how it wasn't any good. I think as I moved into my mid-40s and becoming a Pilates trainer, and thus in an industry mostly run by incredible women in their 20s, I had to put a stop to that narrative for the sake of my mental health. Now I just feel proud. What a body. I suppose the beauty of youth is a thing of that past, and that's okay. I feel more confident than I ever did as a young woman. You come to terms with what we have always been told are flaws and celebrate them. It's weird, but it's true. The negative chit-chat takes you nowhere. I like to focus on the good stuff when I can. And when I find myself in a downward spiral, I jump off real quick. For many of us, turning 40 is a major milestone. It's an age that comes with a plethora of expectations and a pressure to have found success. For Kate, dwelling on the anxieties of turning 40 was a luxury she was not afforded, after her endometriosis left her bedridden for over a month. So she looked for the silver lining. By reframing her perspective on aging, Kate saw 40 as an opportunity for change. A major health episode coinciding with me turning 40 created a perfect storm though. I really had nothing to lose. Everything in my life was upside down, so stepping into a fresh career didn't feel as big as it might have otherwise. In fact, it felt refreshing and new, keeping me connected through some of my darkest days, she says. Aging is confronting, don't get me wrong, but you learn that, if you're lucky, things keep moving. The alternative is not appealing. We are just lucky to be here, lucky to be living this life. You know yourself well, understand your place in the world and don't care as much about pleasing everyone. How to make the leap? If making a big career change is something you are seriously considering, my advice would be to dip the toe in and see how it feels. I didn't do my Pilates qualification thinking I was going to be an instructor. There are so many things that you can do to really boost up your skill level and then you kind of can take it from there. Take a little step by reducing your days in your current job and then spending a day a week on your passion so that you are creating space for what you want to be doing. I believe that you can make whatever you want happen, but you've got to be proactive about it. Having flexibility in your thinking and your approach is always important. I think if you're stuck in what you're doing, nothing is going to come to you if you don't have any space for it. What to consider before quitting your current job? Your own financial situation is definitely something everyone needs to consider before they dive into a new career. For me, moving from a full-time job into a casual position, it was challenging when you consider that you don't get sick days or holiday pay. That said, here are a lot of pluses, including getting to work your own hours. For me, my background of marketing and PR to fall back on really helped, as it means I have the flexibility to do work in either space. It never hurts to be multi-skilled and to be able to do a bit of everything. One thing that I didn't prepare for was having to adjust my timetable. I was so burnt out last year. My body at 44 is not the same as it was 20 years ago. I've had to really find a happy medium where I can physically do what I want to do and keep that energy up. How to find your balance? I've had to be more realistic about what I can do in terms of my work. When the kids were little, I ran a business, worked like a dog and loved every minute of it. But I found it easier then, because it was more about meeting the kids' physical needs. Moving into the teen years, the kids need me. They need that emotional support, and I need to be around them more to understand what's going on in their lives. My son has ADHD and autism, so he requires a lot of care, and I have to provide that. It means I've had to take a step back from career opportunities, but with that have come other opportunities. When I stopped trying to fight everything and started to find some flow with my life, things really turned around. I've got a good balance now between work and home. That looks different for everyone, but it's worth taking the time to find that balance if you can. And keep re-evaluating. What is needed one day, 1 week, 1 year will change. So being a little flexible works wonders. Why is job fulfillment important? Switching careers has taught me how important it is to carve out time for myself. Even if it's 1 hour a week, you have to give yourself that time. Women are constantly multitasking, so to have time for yourself is really important. I found that working in PR could be a bit empty at times. There's nothing worse than doing a job where you're not happy, and you're not being fulfilled. Of course, with any work there are going to be times where you say to yourself, I don't want to do this, but I think to be satisfied your work needs to be an extended study situation in a job, where you are continually learning and also getting back as much as you are giving. Be kind to yourself. We need to realize that there is a season for everything. Nothing stays stagnant. Sometimes it's good just to lean into where you are. Before you know it, another season comes and it's time to lean into that. Sometimes we can't do it all, but let's do some of it some of the time. The rest will have its day when the timing is right. 5 ways to navigate the cost of living crisis. We're all feeling it. The cost of living crisis is affecting most Australians. As a financial planner with more than 2 decades of experience, I've never witnessed such widespread financial fear and anxiety. In 2023, 41% of Australians described themselves as either poor, struggling to pay their bills, or just getting by, according to a major study from the Australian National University, ANU, and the Scanlon Foundation Research Institute. The relentless increase in the cost of living has left no household untouched. But there is definitely hope, really. Here, I share 5 practical steps to help ease the financial burden, maintain your sanity, and even thrive in these tough times. 1. Shift your mindset. During challenging periods, our true strength emerges, leaving us with a profound sense of appreciation and resilience. Instead of seeing this as a crisis, view it as an opportunity to enhance your financial acumen, organize your life, and eliminate wasteful habits. This trying period might just unveil hidden blessings in disguise that improve your financial future and serve you with a valuable lifelong lesson. 2. Review your budget. Regardless of your financial situation, creating and regularly reviewing a budget is crucial. It not only reveals financial leaks but also identifies opportunities for financial improvement, such as increasing savings, reducing debt, or investing more for retirement. Establish a budget, if you haven't already, and revisit it every time you get paid. 3. Reassess reality. While having financial goals provides clarity and accountability, the cost of living crisis may impact your ability to achieve them. Don't lose hope. Instead, reassess your goals. You can extend deadlines or adjust the savings target to suit your current situation. 4. Have a side hustle. Trimming expenses can only go so far, but the potential to earn more money is limitless. A side hustle can quickly bridge the gap and boost your financial goals. What's great about side hustles is their flexibility. They can fit into your free time. Data collected by Gumtree in 2017 revealed that the average Australian household is sitting on $5,400 worth of unused items. So why not try selling some unwanted pieces from your home to inject some much-needed cash into your life? 5. Pause for progress. In times of turmoil, it's easy to lose perspective and forget your progress. Pause for a moment and practice gratitude for how far you've come since a year ago, 2 years ago, or 5 years ago. Gratitude is scientifically proven to reduce toxic emotions such as resentment, anger, frustration, and regret. The practice is also proven to help you feel happiness and reduce depression. Review old statements, bank balances, and portfolios to appreciate your financial journey and personal growth. Even improved motivation levels are a cause for celebration. Every path towards achieving something special is filled with twists, turns, and unexpected obstacles. Although it may feel like your financial journey is 1 step forward, 3 steps back sometimes, remember that nothing lasts forever and even this tight period will pass. Stay strong, stay resilient, and keep moving forward with your head high. This is what women want and need at work. More pay transparency, menopause leave, and flexible work policies are just the tip of the iceberg. A new report from Work 180, a diversity and inclusion-focused jobs platform for women, has found that women want more pay transparency, menopause leave, and flexible work policies from their workplaces. The report, which is titled What Women Want, collected data from 769 people, predominantly women aged between 26 and 46 in Australia, to gain a better understanding of what will attract and retain female employees. At the top of the list is flexible working, with 3/4 of respondents still prioritizing it over a top-of-market salary. Pay transparency and sexual harassment prevention policies came in second and third, with the demand for pay transparency being loudest among respondents in the Gen Z demographic. It's also important for women to work for employers who are actively removing their gender pay gap, with 86% of respondents citing this as important. Founder of Work 180, Gemma Lloyd, tells Marie Claire Australia that the report highlights the growing importance of making salary information clear and accessible. The report emphasizes the need for companies to be transparent about pay and to take concrete steps to address gender pay gaps. It shows that job seekers, especially younger ones, expect fairness and inclusivity in the workplace, and that companies need to actively work towards these goals. It shows that many young people, especially those in Generation Z, really want to know what steps companies are taking to fix any gender pay differences. This demonstrates a strong demand for fairness in how people are paid. Interestingly, more than half of the respondents would still consider working for a company even if it has a significant gender pay gap, as long as the company is genuinely trying to fix the problem. This shows that people value companies that take real action to address inequality, even if they start out with unequal pay. For the first time, a menopause policy also emerged as a top priority for respondents. Considering that 25% of the working population is impacted by menopause symptoms at any given time, it's surprising the demand didn't reveal itself earlier. According to Lloyd, the implementation of policies like this promote fairness and inclusivity in the workplace. They ensure that everyone, no matter their gender, has the same opportunities and support at work. They help attract and retain talent because companies that prioritize these policies show they care about their employees' well-being, making them more appealing to top talent, including women, Lloyd says. They improve well-being and productivity because flexible working options help employees balance their work and personal lives better, leading to happier, more productive workers. Companies known for their inclusive policies attract more applicants and keep their employees happy, creating a positive work environment. Unfortunately, it's not always easy for women to find workplaces that prioritize these policies. For this reason, Lloyd believes it's crucial for organizations to make their policies easily accessible and regularly communicated to all employees. An inclusive organization should ensure that its policies related to diversity, flexible working, parental leave, and women in leadership are prominently featured on their intranet sites or easily accessible through HR departments. Lloyd explains, employees should feel empowered to inquire about these policies and their implementation within the company. Advocating for inclusive policies and practices benefits not only women but the entire workforce. By initiating conversations about diversity and inclusion in the workplace, you contribute to creating a more equitable and supportive environment for everyone. What to do when your friends earn more money than you? Are group dinners becoming a harbinger of financial doom? This is for you. Your phone buzzes with enthusiasm as your favorite group chat plans a meet-up. Excitement builds until you see the venue. A chic, upscale restaurant. Read, expensive. Instantly, your joy dims with the potential financial strain to your already tight budget and your new financial goals for 2024. This is not a great start to the year, but what is the best course? Feign enthusiasm and risk your financial stability, withdraw silently, or create an excuse to avoid embarrassment. The disparity in disposable income among friends has surged, with Google searches for friends with more money recently soaring an astounding 1,085%, echoing the tension not just in Australia but globally. The challenges posed by the mounting cost of living aren't just hitting our bottom lines but our social lives and relationships as well. Negotiating these varying circumstances and lifestyles can stress even the best of friends, but it doesn't have to lead to disconnection just because your friends have different spending habits, incomes, or values. There are ways to harmoniously maintain these expensive friendships while honoring your financial well-being and goals, a scenario I've encountered professionally and personally, so I have some valuable ideas and solutions to share. 1. Avoid the comparison trap. Comparing your finances to others only saps your energy and breeds a sense of scarcity, which can end up being a parasite to your own mental health. Redirect your focus inward. Reflect on your own growth, achievements, and aspirations. The only comparison you ever want to make is to the old you. Remember, everyone's journey is unique, so preserve your energy for your goals and the big vision for your future. 2. Embrace learning from others' success. If a friend achieves a goal you aspire to, seize the opportunity to learn. Ask about their saving strategies, recommended resources, lessons, and insights, or what they might do differently if they were to tackle this same goal today. Use their success as a valuable source of information and inspiration for your path. Armed with this new knowledge, you can achieve your financial goals sooner and with greater efficiency. 3. Own your financial journey. Share your aspirations without divulging personal details. Express your aims honestly, such as saving for a down payment on a house. Share your deadlines, the rough framework of your game plan, and how you are trying to stay focused. True friends will support and respect your goals, potentially giving you ideas and opportunities, and they will help make you accountable along the way. In fact, you may end up inspiring them to work on a new financial goal of their own. 4. Propose financially friendly alternatives. Financial prudence need not equate to social seclusion. Suggest budget-friendly activities like coffee meetups, walks, gym workouts, home-cooked meals, or less pricey dining options. Use these occasions to update friends on your progress and include them in your journey so they never feel neglected or rejected but a valued source of support and encouragement. As with any great goal, either financial or lifestyle, setting healthy, respectful boundaries that align with your budget or values might entail social sacrifices. However, genuine friends will stand by you, show faith and confidence in you, and celebrate your accomplishments, big or small, no matter how long they take. True, authentic wealth lies in these enduring friendships, not in disposable income. What gets you up each morning? A founder, a CEO, and a GM on their secret to success. Think about what you value and what will motivate you for years to come. There's an age-old sentiment that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. However, unless you've landed yourself a career as a high-coveted ice cream taster or a professional mattress jumper, yes, these are real jobs, this sentiment doesn't exactly ring true. To find out the secret to success, Marie Claire sat down with 3 industry change-makers who are rewriting the blueprint for a new world of work. The goal? Work hard, challenge the system, and leave the planet a little lighter in the process. When I was at home looking after our 9-month-old baby, my husband Michael was working at one of the big 4 banks. He would wear these fun, quirky socks to work that were a huge conversation starter. I was bored at home, so I decided to launch a sock brand. We had tens of thousands of subscribers and delivered to more than 70 countries. Michael eventually left his bank job to work with me full-time. One day he was clearing out his sock drawer and said, "Where should I put these?" We realized that you can't send second-hand socks to charity because they're worn and you shouldn't put them in the bin. That sparked the idea of launching the world's first sock take-back program, where we not only took back the socks we sold, but accepted every other sock brand as well. In 4 months we diverted more than 15,000 kilograms of socks from landfill. We had such an engaged community in Australia, and they were saying, "Why can't we send you other textiles too?" So we broadened our scope, and since 2020 we've diverted more than 4.5 million textiles from landfill through our business apparel. The best thing about my job is that we are a purpose-driven brand. I have 3 kids, and what we do today is for the next generation. It's so rewarding when other companies ask how they can get involved. For example, we've partnered with Vanish Australia in pledging to divert 1 million clothing items from landfill over 2 years to help make textile waste vanish. It's a nice feeling to know you can make a difference. I've spent the past 20 years working in financial services. It can be so easy to get caught up in the money and prestige of a known company or the title of a role, but the shine of those things only lasts so long. Instead, think about what you value and what will motivate you to get out of bed every morning for years to come. Working for Stella wasn't a change in industry, but it was definitely a change in the way of doing business. It's about being involved with a brand that's purpose-driven and more than just profits. As it's supporting women. Being involved in the business has meant I've become more educated on issues that affect women. I'm not a hardcore feminist, but having 2 daughters has definitely changed the way I view the world and what girls can do and be. One of the things about my job that I'm most proud of is our partnership with the Women's and Girls Emergency Centre, WAGEC. Domestic violence in Australia is a problem that is beyond comprehension, and I think it's impressive that even though we're in the startup phase, we are committed to giving $5 from every new car insurance policy upfront to a great cause. Every little bit will help. When I was 18, a nuclear power plant called 3 Mile Island near the university I was attending, in the US, blew up. That really brought my awareness to the environmental issues around me. My first job was at Greenpeace, where I ran a campaign to stop oil drilling. As a result, BHP attempted to personally sue me, which as a 20-something was pretty scary. I realized out there on the high seas the actions we were taking were not helping BHP to understand the problem, instead it was causing them to react very badly. So I left Greenpeace and went to Washington, where I ended up running the Council on Sustainable Development at the White House. The mission that the president established for us was to come up with a report on achieving a sustainable America. It was a complete oxymoron. Nobody could even define sustainable development, much less understand what it meant in their company. Today, the world's very different. That said, 99% of what's being done is just at the margins. What I find so valuable about Fairtrade is they have a really impactful systemic and structurally engineered approach to a voluntary system. You know, nobody is forced to do Fairtrade. It's said that some people have a job, some have a career, and some people have a calling. I definitely experienced that calling. I've always been driven by passion. This work can be very depressing because we don't know the outcome. But I will say that you sleep better at night when you know you are spending every day doing your best. This story originally appeared in the June issue of Marie Claire Austerlia. How to survive a horror internship. Step 1. Pretend it's your birthday. Our internships, the very necessary, sometimes painful, career stepping stones. At the best of times, they involve satisfying work and lead to solid job opportunities. Think Jane on the bold type. At the worst, they involve meaningless tasks, picking up coffee, dry cleaning, conjunctivitis medication. Think Andy in The Devil Wears Prada. What is often cited as a voluntary yet informative experience, as some will attest to, can also be cited as an unnecessary, time-wasting experience that doesn't pay the bills. As comedy writers, we found the internship space a bit of a laugh, and although many corporations and companies offer free working positions to young people in an effort to launch their careers, we felt that more often than not these internships were no more useful than buying a gym membership, only to find yourself slumped in the spa and sauna facilities before reaching for that fourth glass of Savvy B. So to distract from our obvious disdain for bad internships, we've come together to give you our top 5 tips to make any internship or volunteer-based learning program, blah blah whatever you want to call it, bearable. Tip 1. Pretend it's your birthday. This is a great opportunity for your colleagues to learn your name. Maybe throw a little work lunch in your honor with a potential for cake and a song sung to celebrate you. Hopefully for your sake, you've left the job before important documents such as birth certificates are required for staff profiling. Tip 2. Take this opportunity to splash out on a sweet new wardrobe. Dress up, try new things. Bask in that pretty woman makeover moment we all deserve. Not only is this your chance to experiment with new outfits that you aren't yet confident enough to wear around your friends, be sure to claim all the clothes on tax as a work expense to make up for the money that they're not paying you. Tip 3. Take a moment to feel important whilst you sit at your desk or wherever you may be placed in the internship. It's fun to feel important from time to time, even when you have no idea what you're doing or if you're even doing anything at all. Sit, or stand, there proud and soak up this feeling. There's a possibility you may never get a job again in the saturated market, and let's face it, you've already wasted a lot of your time working for free, so why not take a minute for yourself, even if it means staring out a window for several minutes. Tip 4. Make friends in high places. Yes, you are working for free, but this is your chance to gain insight into all your boss's little secrets, which you could then potentially exploit later. This could work either in the form of blackmail or just general fun with the girls later. Tip 5. Complete all life admin at work. They have everything: free internet, free envelopes, stamps, fancy pens. Even slip in a little dry cleaning and lump it in with your bosses while you're at it. Make sure all those nasty little errands are done at your internship so you can go home and enjoy your life to the fullest. What is imposter syndrome, and why do so many successful women suffer from it? From CEOs to actresses, Women across the world can't seem to shake this feeling. Fake it till you make it. It's the phrase we've all thought to ourselves at least once. What we're less known to have thought to ourselves at least once is I'm in this room for a reason. In recent years, the rise of imposter syndrome has seeped into our global narrative with celebrities and high achievers, such as Kate Winslet, Emma Watson, Tina Fey, and Meryl Streep all feeling they have made their careers out of luck, rather than sheer talent. Imposter syndrome is a pervasive feeling of self-doubt, insecurity, or fraudulence, one that can stubbornly persist despite much evidence to the contrary. It's the kind of internal monologue that tells us at any moment someone will tap us on the shoulder and tell us that we are a fraud, or just not cut out for our chosen vocation. Speaking to LYSN psychologist Brianna Jane Sadder, we get the lowdown what the imposter phenomenon is and why successful women tend to feel it. These days it's hard to come across a successful person that hasn't experienced imposter syndrome at least once in their career. Those doubtful thoughts, feelings of inferiority and incessant second-guessing, all like niggling thieves, stealing a person's right to feel successful. Ask a successful person how they felt when they finally made it, and invariably they'll tell you that they haven't yet. Or better yet, they'll respond with a nervous laugh that seems almost confused or scared. A lot of the time we'll pass this off as humility, or at the very least a false sense, but there's a certain truth in those reactions. The funny thing with imposter syndrome is that the person experiencing it usually doesn't realize it's happening. That tiny little voice inside their head that tells them, no matter how successful they are, that it was all just a fluke, lucky, and soon enough people will realize that they're not actually that smart and that they've just fooled everyone. Some people experiencing imposter syndrome might mistake it as their own ambitious drive telling them they need to forge ahead. Others think if they dare admit that success might actually be attributed to something they've done, then everyone will figure it out and feel like they've been duped. Then there's those that swear they were just in the right place, in the right time, and that anyone could have achieved what they did. But the truth is, imposter syndrome has long been stealing the thunder, and it's time we all gave ourselves a little pat on the back. It's time we all took back the glory and celebrate our own right to success. If you think you might be experiencing imposter syndrome, LYSN psychologist Brianna Jane Sadder explains to Marie Claire just how you can work towards drowning out those feelings of doubt. Write it down. It might sound simple, but write down a list of all your perceived achievements. You might start by mentally shrugging them off or saying so what as you write them, but you'll find as you go on and read them back you will be reminded of all the things you did to achieve your successes and might even find you are impressed with yourself. Go back to where you started. Sometimes it takes a bit of reminiscing to really consider just how far you've come. You might think being a boss and running a team of 3 is no big deal, but perhaps you started off working for yourself in your lounge room. Managing one person is an incredible achievement, let alone 3, and things like having your own office space should also be celebrated. Go back to the beginning and remember the little things which can sometimes help you to appreciate that all that hard work led you to the success you should be feeling today. Listen to those around you. We are often our harshest critic and dismiss or discount all the positive things that people around us say about us and our achievements and attributes. No one is forced to say nice things about others if they are saying it, it is because they mean it. When someone compliments you, instead of shrugging it off or ignoring it, say thank you, and instead of discounting it, own it. Remember, you're only human. Imposter syndrome can often stem from being in a situation where you feel inept. Perhaps you've just received a promotion or a new job and literally have no idea what you're doing. Remember that everyone starts somewhere and you got the job for a good reason. Remind yourself that you're only human and enjoy the process of learning new things, rather than beating yourself up for not knowing everything right away. Below, Some stars who have admitted to suffering from imposter syndrome. Kate Winslet. Over the years, the stakes have become higher for me. Sometimes I wake up in the morning before going off to a shoot, and I think, I can't do this. I'm a fraud, Winslet told the Mirror in 2009, adding, "What people really think of me is something I remain blissfully unaware of most of the time. I love acting and all I ever try to do is my best. But even now I always dread those emotional scenes. I'm there thinking, oh my God, I'm rubbish and everyone is going to see it. They've cast the wrong person." But I have come to realize that those nerves are all part of the process for me. Natalie Portman. Today I feel much like I did when I came to Harvard Yard as a freshman in 1999, Portman said in her 2015 Harvard commencement speech. I felt like there had been some mistake, that I wasn't smart enough to be in this company, and that every time I opened my mouth I would have to prove that I wasn't just a dumb actress. Emma Watson. It's almost like the better I do, the more my feeling of inadequacy actually increases, because I'm just going, any moment, someone's going to find out I'm a total fraud, and that I don't deserve any of what I've achieved, Watson told Rookie magazine in 2013. Lupita Nyong'o. I go through acute imposter syndrome with every role, Nyong'o told Time Out in 2016. I think winning an Oscar may in fact have made it worse. Now I've achieved this, what am I going to do next? What do I strive for? Then I remember that I didn't get into acting for the accolades, I got into it for the joy of telling stories. Meryl Streep. You think, why would anyone want to see me again in a movie? And I don't know how to act anyway, so why am I doing this? Streep told Ken Burns in a 2002 interview for USA Weekend. Tina Fey. The imposter syndrome. The beauty of the imposter syndrome is you vacillate between extreme egomania and a complete feeling of, I'm a fraud. Oh God, they're on to me. I'm a fraud. Fey told The Independent in 2010. So you just try to ride the egomania when it comes and enjoy it, and then slide through the idea of fraud. Seriously, I've just realized that almost everyone is a fraud, so I try not to feel too bad about it. Is there a gender pay gap at your work? Today's the day to find out. Australian women can't find the gender pay gaps of their companies. The gender pay gap of every large Australian private company has been made public. This means Australians can find out the difference between how much the average male and female employee are paid at some of Australia's biggest corporations. The publication of the data comes as a result of the transparency amendments made to the Workplace Gender Equality Act 2012 in March 2023. Prior to the amendments, the gender pay gap data collected by the Workplace Gender Equality Agency, WGEA, was not publicly accessible. Now, thanks to a recommendation from the International Labour Organization, the WGEA is legally required to publish the median gender pay gap for every Australian organisation with more than 100 people. What is the difference between equal pay and the gender pay gap? The gender pay gap shouldn't be confused with equal pay, which refers to men and women being paid the same wage for doing the same job. The gender pay gap, however, which is calculated by the WGEA, measures the difference in average pay between men and women. To do this, the measure takes other contributing factors into consideration, including the differences between hours worked and all other forms of employment-related pay, including superannuation. Currently, Australia's gender pay gap sits at 13.3%. This gap is largely put down to women being more likely to work in low-paid industries and take more parental leave, which can harm their career progression. Men, on the other hand, are still holding more senior positions in Australian companies. How will greater transparency change things? There are many reasons for making companies' gender pay gaps public. It's believed that one of the biggest contributors to the gender pay gap is a lack of transparency and information. Publishing the gender pay gap aims to equip employees with the information to make better negotiations with their employers and inspire companies to make changes at their workplace. Hopefully, we will see companies consider these results when selecting candidates to hire, promote, and award pay rises to. The information will also be helpful to job seekers, who can use it to their advantage when selecting the right companies to work for and negotiating pay. When will the data be published? The gender pay gap data will be published in stages. The first stage will happen on February 27, 2024. When the WGEA will publish the data collected from private organizations between the 1st of April, 2022 and the 31st of March, 2023. The second stage will be the release of Commonwealth Public Sector Organizations' pay gaps, which will be published in late 2024 or early 2025. This data will be based information collected between the 1st of January, 2023 to the 31st of December, 2023. How do I find the gender pay gap of my company? On February 27, 2024, you will be able to find the gender pay gap of your organization on the Workplace Gender Equality Agency website. Employers are also able to provide an optional employer statement that gives context to their gender gap results. A link to the statement will be displayed alongside each employer's gender pay gap. Which Australian companies have the biggest gender pay gaps? Australia's gender pay gap data has finally been released. Some of the companies with the biggest gender pay include Jetstar, with a median gender pay gap of 53.5%. This means that Jetstar's female employees are earning on average 46.5 cents for every $1 a male employee makes. The other airlines aren't much better, with Virgin's 41.7% gap and Qantas's 39.3% gap. Banks also have a large gap, with Commonwealth Bank at 29.8% and Westpac at 27%. Shockingly, even retailers who sell goods largely to women have large gender pay gaps. Pandora has a 47.2% gap, while City Chic Collective has a gap of 57.7%, Seafolly has a 44.2% gap, and Lorna Jane has a 36.3% gap. Many organizations, including Virgin, attribute the gap to men occupying higher paying positions within the company. We have a larger proportion of men occupying higher paying roles, such as pilots and aircraft engineering roles. We are focused on improving the demographic profile of key roles across our organization over time. We're hopeful that greater pay gap transparency will encourage more companies to reduce their gaps.